just kind of didn't really ask anyone, and I just kept on doing my thing. So that was a little bit challenging, but I must say that after like 2.5 months, I actually cracked top 5 with that outdated route. So
oh my gosh,
that was pretty cool to see. Though I must also point out that at that point the leaderboards were kind of inactive. But still, top 5 was like, I was still pretty happy about that. And then I was able to transition into something else. But yeah, a lot of just experimentation and a lot of patience while practicing, right? And it helps out, you know, it allows us to basically save our position and whatnot. So you can make a save file and then combine it with the gadget to immediately get to the boss fight, and you can practice very, very efficiently. Again, something that isn't available on consoles. Then again, I must also point out that if you don't have a PC that is able to run these games, that doesn't mean you cannot actually speedrun, because what we use to compare the times on the leaderboards is the in-game timer. The in-game timer is consistent between both PC and consoles, and it doesn't even matter what frame rate you have, because the timer increments depending on like each frame that passes. So no matter the frame rate, essentially, you're never gonna lose time, even if, you know, you lose frames RTA on the PS3, for example. And obviously it also cuts out loading times, which differ greatly between not just different PC machines, but also between PC and console. So just having a console, it is a setback, but it doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy some Dark Souls speedruns. There's plenty of runs, especially on the remastered leaderboards, because more people play that game on console, right? Since you need to kill those too. And the difference between the 3 any percent categories is essentially there's a glitch called Force Quit Wrong Warp that allows you to get to the final area of the game very early. And that was discovered like a month or a month and a half after the game came out. So when people started to run it, it got obviously separated from the other category where this glitch was banned, right? And given how this game always gets or has something new to offer, many years later in 2017, there was another way of wrong warping discovered, actually, which doesn't require you to force quit out of the game, right? Which can be a very kind of shady practice that, in particular with DS1, essentially, if we allowed using Alt F4 or force quitting in every single category, there could be shenanigans with the in-game timer. There could be shenanigans where you could essentially like force close the game after you made a mistake, and then it warps you back slightly, so you undid that mistake, essentially not really having a single segmented run anymore. So the force quitting was allowed only in one specific category, while in all others it was banned. And then when the different wrong warp was discovered, which is done completely within the game, there was another split being warranted, because it just, again, it changed the category, the any percent categories.
There was a relatively new skip. It was kind of resurrected, called Vilhelm Skip, where you enter a death cam. This is in the first DLC, and then you avoid giant crabs. By the way, with a death cam, it's like kind of tank controls. So the way you move changes on either a joystick or keyboard. Like you just hold forward and then you tap right or tap left and your character will spin rather than just veer, you know, side to side. But you have to run up a series of branches, and this might be something we could show at some point during this. But you run up a series of branches while there are Millwood Knight enemies shooting exploding arrows at you. And at one point, the camera flips to going upside down underneath your character. So you're all of a sudden your control screen flips because you've got this mirror and you're looking at yourself from underneath. And then you can't even see yourself running on some of these branches. Eventually, you get to a ladder. And it's the same concept. You're skipping a door, like a trap door or secret door that you have to open, and it saves running through a large chunk of the DLC. But that thing, I practiced so much, and I was able to get it first try. And I think Spacey did the same in his run. He nailed Vilhelm Skip right away. That was kind of the main thing I practiced. The other thing we've already talked about.
But the skips are the things where it's one mistake and you're dead. And a Vilhelm Skip definitely has that. But you'll see people do it first try fairly frequently in these kinds of settings, because it's not as tight on an individual level. It's just a lot of different things that you have to do, as opposed to FKS, which is very simple in theory. It's just turn left, lol. But it's like the timing on that one is so tight that that's the one where you worry about in marathons primarily.